TGO, Tom Gruenwald Outdoors, is brought to you by HT, premium ice tackle since 1974. Polar Fire Gear, this is how it's done. Tourism Saskatchewan, Canada's best freshwater fishing. Vexilar, ice fishing begins when you turn your Vexilar on. Kalispell, Montana, discovery in every direction. And these other fine sponsors.
Hello everyone and welcome to Tom Gruenwald Outdoors. I'm Tom Gruenwald and today we've got a really unique show lined up for you. You know, a lot of people are familiar with the Mississippi River and the Mississippi River backwater areas. Lots of panfish, we got pike, we got bass, but I'm along here with Pool 9 Guide Services Ted Peck. Ted's been fishing this water a long time and we've had a super cold winter.
It's been brutal.
Well, this cold weather has allowed us to do something unique. And normally, maybe get a week or two, you might be able to get out into an area like this one?
A week or 10 days, maybe 2 weeks.
Yeah.
We've been out here already for a month below the dam.
It's unbelievable. If you look right here behind us, this is actually the Pool 9 that we're standing on, but this is Lock
and Dam 8.
Lock and Dam 8 here on
Genoa, Wisconsin.
And we are right down below the gates. And what we have is a situation here. There is a little bit of current flow. This is a wintering area for a number of species,
Very
right?
much, well, primarily saugers and walleyes and perch.
Okay.
As you go through the river, coming down off the rollers here, there's 50, 60 foot hole, and now we're down in the flat between two wing dams, about 23 feet of water, and this thing will slide up, and there'll be a couple pockets in there and little humps, 8, 9 feet of water. We'll go for perch there a little bit later, and saugers as the sun starts to go down a little bit. And that's the strangest thing with these great big bluffs here that are 500, 600, 700 feet high. We'll actually get sunset about 4:30, and it's supposed to set about 5:30, so the bite will come on an hour earlier tonight. And I think we'll get a good mix of perch this afternoon, some small saugers and some walleyes, and as things start to go down here with the sun, we're going to pound some really nice fish.
And the thing to do is, just like any place else, you want to move around a little bit, try to find some of those little pockets. There's different kinds of variations in the bottom here.
Frog till you find them and then camp on them. It doesn't make much sense to leave fish to go find fish, and we're on fish right here. They're here.
Now there's some other things here. I know you mentioned there's some wing dams that come out. Are we anywhere near those where we're working?
Oh, absolutely. If we get back up here, there's a float, and that's the first wing dam. The second wing dam is about 50 yards below us, and wing dams here will come out to the channel edge.
Okay.
So what happens when the current comes down, it'll hit the wing dam, it actually goes over it. So some goes over it, but it'll push it out towards the main channel too.
Sure.
So you have two different flows, and what we have here between the two wing dams is a calm area, a quiet area. And that's why the fish are here. They don't want to expend a lot of energy. You know, they're cold-blooded, so they just want to camp right here, let the food come to them. And we're going to oblige them here in just a little bit with some little jigging wraps and some minnow heads, and it's going to be a good day for fishing.
Well, that was the next thing I was going to ask. There is a little bit of current here, so we've got to use a little bit bigger bait. Maybe, it doesn't have to be huge, but like a number 3, number 5 type swimming minnow, jigging wrap type bait.
Jigging wrap type of bait, or a forage minnow is real good. The Northland forage minnow, I love those things. They're great. The puppet minnow. Chrome blue is a standard color, but purple is red hot.
Okay.
Anything purple, anything robin's egg blue. Sometimes muted colors are better than the shiny stuff. It depends on the day. You just want to give them what they want, and when you're overfished, you just got to find out what they want, and sooner or later you can make them eat, even in these brutal conditions.
You got me excited. Let's go see if we can
Let's
get
go
some
get
walleyes
some
and
fish.
saugers.
That sounds good to me, Tom.
All right, let's go and get them.
There's a good fish. We're hooked up.
Yep. Oh yeah.
Oh
That
yeah,
nice
there's a
sauger.
sauger.
There we go.
A beautiful snorkel.
Hey, we're into them now, Ted. Look at that. Beautiful sauger. Look at the markings. Look at got the brown spots up there on the dorsal fin. No white spot at the tail. Beautiful. Boy, they're fun and they fight hard. I'm gonna put this one back in because it's so cold out here. I don't want its ice to freeze up on me, so I'm gonna do a release here. And I'd just like to show you real quick what I'm using here. I've got a blue and a silver chrome colored jigging Rapala. And I've actually got this packed with spikes on each of the hooks instead of the minnow head. I get a little better balance out of that. And I also have the knot of the line here to the back of the hook eye. And the reason I do that is that minnow head kind of pokes down on the bottom, and that way that back hook and that center treble are up a little when those fish hit. I think it helps me get a little better hook set.
Go fishing. TGOfishing.com.
Ted, I wanted to ask here too, there's obviously we're on boundary waters here between the state of Wisconsin and Minnesota.
Correct.
So as far as licensing goes, somebody wants to come out and try fishing here like we did. We came off the Wisconsin side and crossed the river, came over on the Minnesota side.
Correct.
What kind of licensing requirements does a person need?
Well, there's reciprocity is realized between all the states here, and there's railroad tracks. You can hear the train going by. So your Wisconsin license is valid between the tracks on the Wisconsin side and the tracks on the Minnesota side. We go down the river about 3-4 miles, it's Iowa, and you need a combination of either a Minnesota and Iowa license or Wisconsin license to fish the whole pool.
Okay.
So you're good between the tracks. But there are some qualifiers here. There are state-specific regulations here. For instance, we came across, as you say, from Wisconsin and got into Minnesota. It is legal to ride double on an ATV in Wisconsin. Minnesota, they'll let you get away with it. If we did that in Iowa, rode double on an ATV not intended to be read double on, it's a $160 ticket, and they do like to write it. Also, in Wisconsin, now we're on the channel here, so we can use 3 lines, but you get into solid Minnesota waters off the channel, you can only use 2. Minnesota and Iowa only allow 2 lines.
Okay.
The bag limit on the fish is the same, but there are some changes in regulations. There we go.
Oh, this is a nicer one, Ted.
What you got, Tommy?
This is a nicer one. It's a little heavier than those last ones.
Need help?
Well, you can if you want. He feels decent. Oh, that's decent. Yeah, there we go.
That's a nice walleye.
Nicer walleye there, huh?
Walleye.
Came out a little deeper. Got out a little bit deeper, and there he was. There he was.
I think that fish is probably legal, Tom.
It's close,
about
isn't
15.
it? There. A decent walleye, huh? Nothing wrong with that. There we go. It's amazing to me too, Ted. I mean, I've fished these areas a little bit before, and if we had, 5 or 6 inches of ice, that was quite a bit. And boy, we must have a good 10 inches, maybe 12.
Well, there's a foot here, yeah. But you could go 30 yards that way, and there might be 4 inches on an air pocket, and you go right past wet to dead.
And that's an important thing to point out. This is an area you need to be careful. Bring along a chisel. Make sure you've got safety picks with you, and a rope or a throw rope is a great idea as well. We're just going to make a little shift here. Sometimes just move over a little bit. Just a matter of a few feet or a few yards can make a difference. So we're marking quite a few fish a little earlier. Slow down here a little bit. So I'm just going to go and try another hole. Yeah, another fish coming up there. We've had quite a bit of activity out here, but the secret has been kind of moving. You hit that fresh hole, and usually you'll see a couple fish come in within the first 5 minutes or so. Try to get one. They're not wanting a whole lot of movement with these swimming baits. Typically, you pop them a little bit like this. Try to get some swimming motion to draw the fish in. But more or less, we come in on these holes and you kind of get on top of them and just take the bait right down. And I'm not doing very much. I might just lift it an inch or two and then just kind of shake the bait a little bit and see if that'll trigger a hit. If I do see a fish and I pull it any more than say 8, 10, 12 inch pops, it just seems to spook them and they swim off. I can still use shorter strikes like that just to kind of move it. Let that flash try to draw some fish in. And like that. And then just work it real lightly. And that seems to be the trick here. Oh, there we go. Oh. And boy, this one here, he just ate that jig. Look at that. All that's sticking out, this is a walleye, and all that's sticking out is the end of the lure. That's what'll happen, you know, you're out here all afternoon and you gotta work them pretty hard. And then it gets a little later in the day and they get more active.
Oh,
that one, Ted, he absolutely inhaled and ate the jig. I mean, the only thing that was sticking out was the rear single hook.
Oh, a little walleye. Well,
Yeah.
you know, it's getting to be about 4 o'clock. It's prime time, and we're right where we gotta be. We've moved off the wing dams a little bit. What you have out here is a great big flat. And those fish are gonna start turning on here anytime. So I'm gonna move my tent too and get out here and start pounding them.
Excellent. Yeah, it seems like a new hole.
Yeah.
You get out and you hit that and it's bang, bang, get a couple fish. Then you got to move again and just keep popping holes. And
Let's
see what
pop 80
happens.
holes and catch 160 fish.
I like it.
More fishing action online at tgofishing.com.
Oh yeah, there he is. They pop these baits, and then you're fighting them in that current. That's pretty typical of what you're going to catch out here. Obviously, you get some smaller, and once in a while you get some bigger, but that is just a nice looking sauger, isn't it? And again, without any limits on the size of these, you can take some of these, like these 15, 16, 17 inches home. Those make a great meal. They are really good. Members of the walleye family fight every bit as hard and just as much fun to catch.
We got one down there now. Whoa, he's on it.
Got him?
Yeah.
Yeah. Look
Big-
at that
big
perch.
perch.
Look at that. Well, it just goes to show you, it's not just the walleyes are in here. Obviously, we've got saugers, and there's some pretty nice perch too, aren't there?
Well, this is a small one. Call them river tigers because of the stripes.
Yeah.
And that's the spoon. That's that rocket spoon designed by Gary Snyder.
Yeah. That is a great little bait, isn't it? A lot of features on
boy,
it.
oh boy, oh boy. Man, what a beautiful fish. That's a good eating size perch there. That's a 10-incher.
That's
I don't
ideal.
like to keep them over 12.
Ideal.
Beautiful fish. Oh, aren't they pretty? River tigers. Boy, look at that.
Let that one go.
Yep.
Let's learn something. Time for a TGO tackle tip.
I'd like to just show you the system that I'm using for fishing these saugers. Since most of these fish aren't real big, you don't need anything very heavy. I think a lot of people tend to go a little bit too heavy. They're using heavier medium heavy action rods and heavier monofilaments and braided lines and things. That's really not necessary. Most of this water here is running between, well, let's say about 15 and 25 feet deep. And I'm just running a 6-pound monofilament. And I've got this set up. I got a Polar Fire 26-inch light action rod. And what I like about this is I've got really nice tip action right here at the tip. So I can feel when that lure is hitting the bottom, which is very important, especially here where we have these currents. You want to make sure you're maintaining contact with your bait, just like when you vertical jig during the summertime. Same concept. And there are times that current can be strong enough in some holes or in some spots, and it will fluctuate and change from time to time. Sometimes they open the gates, a little more water starts to come through. It is a river system, and you'll actually lose your bait. In other words, you won't be able to see that on your sonar because that lure will drift back out of the cone. In that case, it's important sometimes to go with a little heavier jig, a little heavier lure, make some adjustments so that you can keep that lure in the strike zone. With these walleyes and saugers, 90% of the time, most of the activity is going to be within that bottom 6 to maybe 8 or 10 inches off the bottom. So you want to make sure that lure is staying in that strike zone. Watch your sonar. If you can't see your lure, you're not finding it even after you adjusted your gain and that line is angling back, good chance that that lure has drifted with the current and drifted out of the sonar range. So you want to make sure you keep that lure in there so you can see it, and of course watch for fish that are coming up and looking at your bait.
Ooh, he's pulling. What we got there?
There you go.
Hey, that's a nice sauger. That's a nice sauger.
Absolutely, that's what we came for.
Yeah, that's on that forage minnow.
Very nice. Now I see the sauger, of course,
See,
closely
that's
related.
actually a saug eye. See the white spot on the tail and the color? It's a saug eye.
So that's a hybrid right
Sure
there.
is, yep.
Nice.
And something like this, you've got to be very careful. You could argue it is not a walleye, so legally we could keep this fish. It's got a little bit of white on the tail,
Yep.
but the barring pattern right here, that tells me that's a sauger. He would make a lovely sandwich, but I think we'll put him right back down the hole, go get his grandmother, feed 2 people.
There you go. Nice job, Ted. Way to
Fun,
go.
man. It was
there
fun.
you go. Oh, those saugers fight hard. They're
Oh,
awesome,
they're a
aren't
lot
they?
of fun. And you can come out here in the wintertime under these conditions. Once they start to go and catch 25, 30, 35, 40, but the limit is 6.
Yep.
No size limits. If you're really hungry, you keep 6 like that. They're like perch with the Desert Storm camel paint job. They're just delicious. And we'll get some perch out here too. And maybe some walleyes. My buddy Kyle, down the river there, about 200 yards by that dolphin.
Yep.
Biggest one I've ever seen. The fish was almost 14 pounds. It was 33 inches long, walleye.
Nice.
And he put it back, he released it. I mean, there's some big walleyes in this pool. It's fantastic fishing.
Well, keep it up. Nice job with the sauger.
Let's get another
That's
one.
It. Let's do it. You want to keep moving out here too. You know, this is a different environment, obviously fishing the main channel on the Mississippi River like we are, but just as you might do if you're fishing a flat on any lake out there, sometimes you get one hole that'll produce 4, 5, 6 fish, the next one or somebody nearby is fishing and they only get 1 or 2. And here in the river, it's not so much that we're looking for weed lines or pockets in the weeds or things like that, but there's small holes, pockets that block current that the fish might hold behind. Sometimes you might find a stump or a log or some rocks, rock piles, things like that. And those vary from year to year out here. The currents move and make that bottom content change. So it is important to come out here when you're working these fish. Work together as a team, move around a little bit, try some different holes. You never know, you might find one that produces a little better than another. Right now, it's been a little quiet right here. I haven't seen too many fish in this particular hole, so I'm just gonna pull up and try one of these other holes. We got plenty of them. We drilled a bunch of them to start with right off the bat so we could get out there and try some of these spots. So might as well work them and see what we can find.
You're watching TGO, Tom Gruenwald Outdoors.
Oh yeah, there he is. Good glove off. Didn't feel too bad. Oh yeah, another sauger. Not a bad fish. This is pretty typical what you're gonna get down here below the dam. Not huge, just a lot of fun. A lot of fun to catch. Let that one go.
There he's going, he's going. He's going. He's just mouthing it. There we go. Not very big, but it's a fish. Oh, little walleye, little sauger. A little walleye. Hey, hey, hey. Beautiful. It's a sauger.
Hey, this has really been a fun experience. You know, the Mississippi River offers an awful lot of opportunity for various species, and of course most people know about the backwaters, but here below these dams and by these lock walls, you can really get into some excellent fishing. Now, I haven't seen a lot of real big fish. They do catch some nice sauger, they do catch some nice walleyes, occasional pike and other mystery species down here. But for the most part, it's a lot of, say, 12 to 13 inch on the bottom side up to maybe 17 inch or so saugers and walleyes. That's good fishing, and those saugers, you can keep them at any size, so there's plenty of fish to take home, have a little bit of fun, fight hard, have a real good time actually in this current down here. But again, I do need to say you have to be extremely cautious. These are hazardous areas here. We've had an incredibly cold winter. It's allowed some really good ice formations so we can get in here and access these fish. That's not always the case. Most winters, even during a common standard winter, you're only going to have maybe a week or two that you're able to get down into these areas. But you have to be careful. There's current here. The current will erode the ice. It breaks up the shore ice. You can literally come out here on 5 to 6 inches one day, come back the next day, and find this wide open, all the ice blown out. It happens. You have to be careful. But when the conditions are right like we've had here, as you can tell, this is a lot of fun. Now, Ted does fish this water, but he really does not encourage people to come out in this area, and he does not take people out on a guide trip. However, people like Ted and area bait shops here can certainly help provide you with some information, let you know what the conditions are like so that you can get out here. So until next time, we'll see you right here on TGO, where it's all ice fishing all the time.
TGO has been brought to you by HT, premium ice tackle since 1974. Polar Fire Gear, this is how it's done. Tourism Saskatchewan, Canada's best freshwater fishing. Vexilar, ice fishing begins when you turn your Vexilar on. Kalispell, Montana, discovery in every direction. And these other fine sponsors. TGO, where it's all ice fishing all the time.